Good morning. Again, my name is John Carson. We're going to speak or to give the technical presentations from the desk here because we may well have to refer to the rules as we're speaking. I'd just like to start by thanking the CMA and, in fact, the World Bank itself for introducing me to this project, which has proved to be both a challenging and a tremendously interesting exercise, and which also brings me to Beirut here, which is a city I've wanted to visit for many years, and I'm finally here, and feeling right at home with so many Canadians here as well. I'm going to start just by talking briefly about the regulatory principles that we followed in drafting the regulations. Gabriel took you through the different rules that we're currently drafting. I think it's important to outline that we're also preparing supervision manuals for the CMA. These are internal operations manuals that they will use in supervising market activity, in carrying out the licensing process, carrying out market surveillance, and so on. So there are kind of operations manuals that are tied to the rules. The key principles that we followed, as Gabriel mentioned, obviously meeting international standards, but we have streamlined those standards as appropriate for the Lebanese markets. So we've certainly referenced developed market standards, European Union, the US, UK, etc., but they have been tailored to the size and nature of the market here. So no question, these rules are much shorter and less complex than their equivalent in a jurisdiction with a much bigger and more complex market. So we're looking mainly at principles in these rules, I would say. We have taken out much of the granular detail and the specific direction that you might see in more comprehensive sets of regulations, and that's to make them easier to introduce to the market. Obviously, there's a need for balance in these things. Gabriel mentioned that a key part of the project is market development. We always have to be well attuned to the need to balance the stringency of the rules with their impact on existing and potential capital market activity. So that's something we've had in mind. These rules should also be both consistent with and competitive with other markets in the region, so that there's some familiarity, especially to foreign investors, market participants who might want to come to Lebanon, and also it remains an attractive market relative to other markets in the region. And to that end, we did have specific reference to, for example, the Saudi Arabian CMA regulations, partly because they are structured similarly and have worked well, and to others in the Gulf region. Obviously, we've customized or tried to customize these regulations to local laws and to build on the existing framework that consists of mainly central bank circulars and now, to some degree, CMA decisions. Another principle is plain language. That's certainly a principle that I promote in drafting all regulations in any jurisdiction. Of course, for me, I'm talking plain English. Hopefully it will translate into the official Arabic that these rules will be released in. But I think this is tremendously important because many regulations historically have been worded so densely it's impossible for the industry to understand what they mean. So our aim is that you can understand these regulations without a lawyer sitting by your side. And of course, the official version will be the Arabic when we translate them. The drafting process started with the experts for the rules we're speaking about in the next 2 days, myself. I want to stress that the CMA has been very actively involved in the development of these drafts. and owns this process. And I can say that certainly these regulations have gone through quite a detailed review at the CMA, and they have been actively engaged in this exercise, which impresses me, because in many places where I work, that doesn't happen. You don't have that level of engagement, and you don't have that level of commentary on the work product. And my two colleagues here to my left and right have been the two key persons who have been helping and involved closely in this work. We will get to a legal review, I believe, by external law firms, just again to check what we drafted against the legal framework here in Lebanon. And then, as Gabrielle mentioned again, we are stressing transparency, which in fact is one of the IOSCO principles and is important not only to the relationship with the regulated firms and other participants, but also to ensuring that we get these things right. And so that's why we're here today. Finally, the last slide on this little introduction is about implementation. We're still working on the implementation process, but certainly we can assure you without question that there will be plenty of advance notice to all of the institutions, issuers, and other stakeholders on when the regulations will be implemented. So there will be plenty of time to adapt to and get ready for the official implementation of the regs. And they will be published well in advance. Of course, part of the reason for this exercise of consultation is so that you already start to become familiar with them. We may implement the regulations in stages. That's yet to be decided, but for example, it's possible that the 3 regulations we're talking about now could be implemented in advance of certain others, such as the prudential and capital rules that Gabrielle alluded to. And the CMA will be here to provide ongoing guidance to institutions, regulated persons, as these rules are implemented starting early next year. So that's my quick summary on the principles and the process.